Greetings, my friends. Time to record another installment of our exam question and answer sessions. They've been really popular, so it's time for me to get busy and get you some more stuff. As always, please hit the like button, subscribe button. You can hit the notification little bell over there. And don't forget to share this information. We had a wonderful week with a lot of people passing exams out there. So please read the comments, enjoy yourselves, and hopefully it'll empower you, give you strength to study and to learn and to retain the information and pass the board exam and become an advocate for sterile processing. So let's make that work. All right. Without further delays, let's go. Okay. The instruments for large sets are placed in stainless steel, anodized aluminum, or heat-tolerant plastic basket of appropriate size with which of the following bottoms? Okay, let's look at this one more time. All right. The instruments for large sets are placed in stainless steel, anodized aluminum, or heat-tolerant plastic basket of appropriate size with which of the following bottoms? All right, well, let's see what options we have. Closed bottom, wire mesh bottom, non-perforated bottom, or soft bottom. All right, well, I think soft bottom is not an answer, so it's one of those bogus answers that you can just brush off. Non-perforated. Perforated means cut along a specific line. So we don't have perforated items, okay, unless you're dealing with, excuse me, toilet paper, okay? Then we have a closed bottom and a wire mesh bottom. Well, guess what? We're trying to get sterilants to penetrate, okay? So therefore, a closed bottom is not an option, and a wire mesh bottom is the only option, okay? It doesn't matter, large sets, small sets, a set is a set. So no worries about anything. Hopefully this answer makes sense. And pretty easy one, but remember how to whittle things down. Okay, let's go. Next question. Packaging should not be able to be opened and resealed and should be evident that it is which of the following? Okay, so when packaging should not be opened and resealed is an important factor, okay? Because all of our sterile packaging must show proof that the package still remains closed, unopened, unmolested in any way, shape, or form. So obviously, we cannot reseal the package because once the package is unsealed, it has to go through the entire cycle, wash, manual washing, mechanical washing, thermal disinfection, check, recheck, packaging, so on and so forth, and then sterilization one more time. So all of our packaging must bear the signs of sterilization, and it must be resistant to tempering. So let's look at the questions and answers that we have here. So packaging should not be able to be opened and resealed and should be evident that it is which of the following? Tamper evident. 2, proof positive. 3, tamper resistant. And 4, foolproof. Nothing in this world is foolproof. Okay. Proof positive, I've never heard this in any of the literature, so I would just brush that off. So we have two possible options, tamper evident or tamper resistant. Okay, so since we're talking about packaging materials, it actually should be both tamper evident. It should show us that it's been tampered with, but more importantly, it should be tamper resistant. So that would be Steve's choice in this one. Let's go to the next one. Okay, one of my favorite topics. When a wet pack occurs, the package must be what? Okay, so what is a wet pack? Wet pack is when a package comes out wet from the steam sterilizer. Okay, wet equals unsterile. So with that in mind, let's try to decipher this information. Okay, so when a wet pack occurs, the package must be A, used immediately, 2, used within 24 hours, 3, considered contaminated. 4, considered only partly sterilized. Well, no, we can't use it immediately because in our discussion just a few moments ago, we have determined that a wet pack equals unsterile. Anything wet is unsterile. So used immediately doesn't apply. Used within 24 hours also doesn't apply. Considered contaminated, that sounds about right. And then considered only partially sterilized. Friends, there's no such things as partially sterilized. Okay, it's either sterilized or it's not. So the only option here is option 3, considered contaminated. Hopefully there are no other questions here. Okay. Let's read the next question. There are many important factors to be considered when packaging system is required. The major factor to consider when selecting a packaging system is which of the following. Okay, so they're referring in this question to this as something being not packaging material, but a packaging system. And yes, most of our packaging materials today are systems. Remember, they're class 2 medical devices as determined by the FDA. Failure of their functionality to function the way they're supposed to, will lead to potential infection and possible injury. So let's look. There are many important factors to be considered when packaging system is required. The major factor to consider when selecting packaging system is which of the following. Number 1, unit cost. Number 2, shelf life requirements. Number 3, environmental advantages or disadvantages. And 4, sterilization method. Let's decipher this information. Unit costs and costs in general are not the domain of the sterile processing technician. Maybe the manager, but when we're talking about patient safety and patient concerns, the cost is obviously a factor, but in reality is not a factor. So cost is almost always a wrong answer. Shelf life requirements. Well, all packaging material, for the most part, doesn't have a doesn't have an expiration date. So shelf life requirement is not really anything that we need to worry about. It's sterility, as you remember, is event based. Okay, so take that into consideration when looking at this question. Environmental advantages or disadvantages. Okay, once again, though environment is important, it takes a backseat to patient safety. Now, the last answer here is sterilization method. Now, we know that not all packaging materials are working with various sterilants. Like, for example, cotton, linen, and other woven materials, for example, which have cellulose-based materials like linen, cotton, paper, they don't work well with hydrogen peroxide. So with that in mind, we understand that this particular sterilization method is going to affect your choice of packaging material, which is what they're asking. So the answer here is the method of sterilization. Make a little note, and off you go. There's obviously more that goes along here, but in reality, this is the best answer. Hopefully, that makes sense. Let's go one more. Okay. Let's see. Well, let's stay within the same general pattern here. Which of the following organization regulates all sterilization packaging systems used by healthcare facilities to package and sterilize surgical instruments, medical devices, and equipment? Okay, just a few moments ago, I mentioned it, and we talked about packaging materials being regulated by the FDA as Class 2 medical devices. Over here, we have several options: OSHA, FDA, Medicare, and AMA. Okay, well, let's start backwards. AMA, American Medical Association, has no bearing whatsoever here. Medicare doesn't regulate any of this. Then all that's left is FDA and OSHA. OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Occupational safety means employee safety. FDA, Food and Drug Administration, our ever-present advocate for patients and their safety. And so this is the correct answer. Hope that makes sense. Okay. All packages must be labeled before sterilization. Labels must contain all of the following except. All packages must be labeled before sterilization. Labels must contain all of the following except. Number 1, description of the package contents. Number 2, initials of package assembler. Number 3, lot control number. 4, temperature at which item must be sterilized. All right, so let's look at this again. All packages must be labeled before sterilization. Labels must contain all of the following except, big except. Remember, this is a big deal. Yes, all packages must contain description of package contents. That's number 1. So that's good. This is not an except. This is a definite. Initials of package assembler. Absolutely. Lot control number. Yeah, okay, absolutely. Sure, we need to be able to track. And temperature at which item must be sterilized. This is not packaging. It's not about the labeling. It's about the actual labeling of the instrument. So the answer here is temperature at which item must be sterilized. That's the answer. Next, which of the following is not an advantage of using rigid sterilization containers? Which of the following is not an advantage of rigid sterilization containers? Okay, let's take a look. Rigid containers. Okay, anodized aluminum, sometimes plastic. Okay, what do we have there? We have moving parts. We have expenditures. These are not the answers. I'm just talking to you about these things. Well, let's look at the answers. What do we have? So which is not an advantage? Ease of use? No, that's an advantage. Next one, shorter cycle time? Don't know. Protection of instruments from damage, and 4, excellent barrier to microorganisms. Well, it's definitely easier to use because all you got to do is kind of close it and lock it. It does offer better protection than woven or non-woven wraps. Excellent barrier to microorganisms? I'd say so. Shorter cycle time? Well, no, I don't think so. I think the cycle time is definitely not shorter because it's harder to penetrate this particular packaging system. It's basically just one way in, one way out, not like a big pack. All right, so I would say that this is the correct answer here. Okay. Packs must be limited to proportions that will be compatible with all but which of the following? Let's read the question one more time. Packs must be limited to proportions that will be compatible with all but which of the following? So we're talking about size, right? So when determining how to package items for sterilization, we must consider several factors here to make sure that the sterilization process is effective. What are these factors? Type of sterilant, exposure time, temperature, okay? But the actual use of instrument after sterilization does not have anything to do with us. Does not have anything with proportions of the packs used in the sterilization process. Okay, so we don't care about instrument use when we package it. So let's see what the answers are. Packs must be limited to proportions that will be compatible with all, but which of the following? Sterilant? Yes, we have to consider the package as far as when we choose the sterilant. Exposure time? Yes, we just talked about that. Instrument use? Ding, 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 ding. We don't care about instrument use when we talk about packaging. Seems like a correct answer. Let's look at the last one. Temperature? No. Okay, so we're going to stick with instrument use on this one, and hopefully that made some sense. All right, let's look at one more question, and we'll call it a day for this one. Some heavier sets may need additional protection on the corners of the tray in which they were packaged. For which of the following purposes? So, some heavier sets may require additional protection on the corners of the tray in which they were packaged, for which of the following purposes. So we have this tray, right? It's heavy, it has corners, and if it's a heavy thing and you're putting it on your packaging material, what could those corners possibly do? Why? They could compromise the integrity of the package by actually ripping it. And of course, if you add the rigors of sterilization process to it, like moisture and heat and so on and so forth, and of course the movement of the item from place to place, that could cause structural integrity damage to the packaging material. Okay, let's look at the answer. So once again, some heavier sets may need additional protection on the corners of the tray in which they were packaged, for which of the following purposes? To stay sterile, interesting, to penetrate the instruments. That doesn't seem like anything that these protection things will do. They're protecting something. Adequate air circulation, and last but not least, to prevent tears. Based on the logic that I just presented to you, it's to prevent tears. Okay? So that's why we put these protective pads on the corners of these heavier trays, because so they don't push down on the material and cause damage when it's moving or just sitting there. Okay, well, hopefully that makes sense. Not a bad set on the packaging materials. We'll continue soon. That's all the time I have for us today. Hopefully this works. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the little bell button, and share with as many people as possible. These videos seem to be doing a lot of good for a lot of people. Wishing you all lots of success and blessings, and I will see you soon. Yes. Yellow. Hello.